Hi there, my name is Alex, and I'm here today with Resonance to talk to you about compressors. This is part 2 of a 3-part series covering everything you need to know about compressors. In this video, we're going to take a look at the different circuit types and other hardware types of compressors before looking at software variants and digital variants. We'll start with the circuit types. The first compressor type, and the most commonly found, is the VCA voltage controlled amplifier compressor. A VCA attenuates the input signal according to an external control voltage. The most famous VCA compressor would be the DBX 160, which most VCA compressors have tried to emulate in the years since. VCA compressors are generally fast-acting and sensitive. They are very useful at handling sharp transients, such as drum hits, but be careful not to overuse it, as it can tend to give the impression of a squashed, tight sound, unless of course that is what you're going for. Put simply, a VCA compressor is best suited for when you're looking to add snap and punch. Other circuit types may be a better choice for warmth, smoothness, transparency, or for averaging volumes. The next circuit type is the optical compressor, sometimes referred to as OPPO for short. Optical compressors use a light-dependent resistor, or LDR, to apply resistance to the signal. The amount of resistance is determined by the light output of a bulb, which is fed by the audio source as a control voltage. As the brightness increases, the resistance of the LDR decreases and changes the amount of gain reduction. The most famous optical compressor is the Teletronics LA2A. Some optical compressors use LED bulbs, but other models use filament bulbs. Because the filament of a bulb is slow to adjust, unlike transistors, you get an average RMS compression rather than a peak compression, resulting in a much smoother and colourful sound. This is great for compression sources that require longer attack and release times, for bus compression where we want to avoid aggressive transient shaping. Due to its slow natural response, it is not great for reining in dynamics or drum sounds, for example, unless your intention is to get the fastest transients passing through uncompressed, such as on guitars or bass where some of the playing dynamics need to be preserved. The next compressor type is the field effect transistor compressor, commonly known as the FET or FET. An FET uses the effect of an electric field to control the rate of flow of the current, adding or removing resistance to the circuit. FET compressors use this effect to reduce gain, in a similar way to optical compressors. The most famous FET compressor would be the Universal Audio 1176. FET compressors are known for their aggressive characteristics. You can normally hear that an FET compressor has been used just by listening to the end result. It is because of this that FET compressors are used to give the sound a certain characteristic in the form of warmth and harmonic distortion, which is a side effect of compressing the audio. It is because of these characteristics, it is probably not best to use an FET compressor when you are looking for a smooth and transparent compression. For instance, it might not be the best choice for use on instruments such as violins or as a master bus compressor. Finally, the VeryMU is a much less common compressor type. It differs from other compressor types in the way that it can automatically vary the ratio setting over time, reacting to the signal as a whole. The most famous VeryMU compressor is the Manley VeryMU, or the all-tube compressor Telefunken U73B. Because of its averaging over time, this gentle and reactive compression type is excellent as the glue for an instrument bus or as a whole mix compressor and is commonly used when mastering. Whilst not a circuit type, an important type of compressor is the digital and software compressor. There are hundreds of digital compressors out there now, both in hardware and more commonly in software forms. Most digital compressors model the effect of a VCA compressor, with the exception being direct model emulations of hardware compressors. Digital compressors use complex mathematics to calculate the compression instead of component electronics. There are countless compressor emulations out there from third-party developers, but most DAWs now ship with a software compressor of their own. Logic Pro 10 has a great default compressor which has several circuit modes. Some are direct emulations of famous hardware compressors. The Platinum Digital is Logic's own design VCA type, which is very versatile and fairly transparent. The Studio VCA is an emulation of Focusrite's Red 3 compressor. The Studio FET is an emulation of the Universal Audio 1176, the black-faced version. The Classic VCA is an emulation of the DBX 160. The Vintage VCA is modelled on the iconic SSL 4000G console bus compressor. The Vintage FET is an emulation of the Universal Audio 1176 silver-faced version. And finally, the Vintage Oppo is an emulation of the Teletronics LA2A optical compressor. Now the important question: hardware versus software. As you can imagine, there are many differing opinions on this, but there are some fundamental facts to consider. Let's start with software. One of the key feature advantages to software-based compression is look-ahead. Look-ahead is only possible with software. It gives the compressor the ability to look forward and read the incoming audio file moments before it is actually audible, to prepare and adjust for what is about to come. Something that is impossible with hardware, which can only react to what is happening real time. This allows attack times to be absolutely instantaneous and even start compressing before the signal actually breaches the user set threshold. Another key advantage to software compression is quantity, availability, and price. If you want to slap an 1176 on every single drum channel and a DBX 160 on all of the guitars and vocals, and then glue everything together with a manly VeryMU and an SSL-G series bus compressor, then you can, provided your computer is powerful enough to run them, of course. To do this with hardware would be absolutely insanely expensive and hugely impractical, although probably rather fun. Now for hardware. Although software emulations have become better and better in recent years, it is still a very different experience working with the real thing, both sonically and creatively. For some, the sheer fact that you are limited to only a select number of compressors and types, the fact that they are tactile and hands-on, and the individual variations within each factory model, leads to a creative decision-making and sonic results that software just can't mimic. A little subjective, I know, but anyone who works with this gear will tell you the same. That's it for this video. In the next video, which will be the final part of the series about compression, I will be discussing and demonstrating some more creative applications of compressors, as well as the more advanced techniques, so make sure to check it out.
Google Resonance Education or check us out on social media. One Institute, endless opportunities, join the pioneers.